Mystic Mac? Or is Conor getting a little bit delusional? Conor did an interview, and he said he's still hopeful. Still hopeful. That's an interesting word. He's hopeful to fight in December. And I do say hopeful because we're seeing a new humble Conor, and there's nothing that has humbled him. Red Panty Night is still king. Make no mistake. But he's coming in humble. I've heard a few things from him that I've liked, but I've also turned my head and go, hey, what's going on here? Like, do we got a real competitor here? Do we got a competitor that's really trying to make a comeback? And he has said this. He took some heat during the Ultimate Fighter. And I want to say it was when he was kind of in a back and forth with Danny Rubenstein. And he was saying, look, I didn't get 3 guys bounced to bring my 3 guys in. That did not happen, for one. And 2, before y'all get up in arms with me, I'm making a comeback myself. I'm trying to get myself back in the mix. And it was a very humble comment from a guy who goes out of his way to make sure he never makes humble comments. I loved it. I loved it because if you're a true competitor, if you really, you have to view yourself that way. You have to. If you want Red Panty Night to stay real and you want to be the king marketer, you can't let the public know you view yourself this way. So it was this major push and pull. I liked it. I thought it was refreshing. I like when Conor breaks character every now and then. And I don't want to make too much, right? I don't want to turn poetry into the word hopeful, but hopeful is an interesting word. Conor had come out with a tweet a number of months ago as it had to do with USADA and the UFC and them not letting him fight in December. And he said, these guys are stopping me from making a living, and this isn't their first time. Kind of letting us in on a behind the scenes that he genuinely, or at least my interpretation, that he was genuinely trying to fight Michael Chandler. And he genuinely thought he was going to be able to do that without doing the 180 days within the pool. I think Conor was sincere. And I think when he came out with that tweet, which completely broke Conor character, to let the world know I'm trying, I'm doing my part, I'm being told no. This is the guy that's never been told no. Conor McGregor reveals in December. What was the year, guys? Was it 2020? I used to know years so well, and then COVID hit, and I got all thrown off. Was it 2020? In December, the month of a pay-per-view, by the way, Conor McGregor announces, I'm ready to fight. I'll fight now. So they go and get him a venue. They book a pay-per-view that wasn't even on the books in Las Vegas, bring in Cowboy Cerrone for a pile of cash. They sell the whole thing out in less than 24 hours. For all I know, that was 10 hours. It was less than 24 hours for a top 15 record gate. No title fights. I was there that night. It was a good card. No disrespect. I don't remember who the co-main event was. No disrespect. It was a very good card, but I don't remember. This was all about Conor. They threw the thing together, and what was the most interesting is they did it a week before a scheduled pay-per-view. So they got a pay-per-view on December 13th. On December 7th, they announced that on January 20th, they're going to do a pay-per-view with Conor McGregor. So now they're advertising 2 shows against each other, right? You're trying to get people interested. You're trying to get them to come this way. They're going this way. You're advertising 2 shows. Okay, I only got X amount of money. Which one am I going to go to? Like, the UFC doesn't do that. This is how hot he was. This is how hot he is. Conor is not cool. Not the way you guys think. Conor had the biggest box office ever. That's over UFC 100. We usually, when we talk numbers, we exclude 100 because it was such a one-off, right? 1.7 million pay-per-views. Dana owes us a jump off the Mandalay Bay. He didn't think it would do that many. As the optimistic president, even outdid him, right? We usually don't even count 100. Count 100. Count them all. Conor had the record until it got beaten by Conor. And then that one got beaten by Conor. And then that one got beaten by Conor. I used to have the record, is why I know this. My second fight with Anderson Silva was a $7.4 million gate. And that was the top gate at that time. I'm excluding the time that St. Pierre fought Jake Shields and they brought in crazy amount of people and did $11 million gate. It was a one-time, just because it was Montreal. And I'm just sharing with you, I follow those numbers a little closer than some. Like, I think it's weird when you guys follow rankings. I don't even know where you would find a ranking I literally don't know. And I have people tease me. They tell me it's like UFC.com, and then you backslash, and then you hit a rank. I don't know what a backslash is, and I'm a smart guy. I own 3 websites. I don't know what a backslash is. It's a weird thing that you would know that, in all fairness. But I'll admit to you, it's a little bit weird that I would know who's got gate records, right? It's a little bit weird that I would know that, but I do. And I'm just sharing with you why. And Conor's next fight, why it might not beat his #1 record. It might not. It's still going to break into him. He's going to beat one of his records. And I say that because when he uses the word hopeful, okay, should we just chalk this up to Conor for the first time ever has misspoke? Maybe. He's tired. He's drinking. Maybe. No big deal. But this is a guy that doesn't usually misspeak. Or should we chalk this up to, this is a long shot, but should we chalk it up to perhaps there is another card being looked at being put together in December? That would be very unlikely, but it's essentially happened before. I mean, we pushed it to January, but essentially that's what happened when Conor returned for the fight with Cowboy Cerrone. There was a pay-per-view in December. Conor says he wants to come back, and they went and booked it. Even if it pushed to January, you get my point. Is that what we're hearing, that is being considered? And I really want something great for Michael Chandler. I actually don't like discussing this piece because I'm in full support of Michael Chandler. And I hear myself, and it sounds like I'm not. I am, but I'm trying to be realistic to this situation. Conor McGregor, in this same piece, told Michael Chandler to sit down and wait, and then said, I hope Nate Diaz returns to the UFC because I owe him a fight. And I realize that the last information that we, the public, have been given is that for sure it's going to be Conor and Chandler. That's been promised. That's done. I get it. I do fully understand that. I don't overly question that, but I undisputedly don't question that at the time it was said, it was absolutely true. At the time it was said, you're as good as the information that you have at the time. And that statement was said prior to Nate Diaz showing a new interest. And we do have times historically where once it's said, it's these two guys, that's done. And guys can push and pull and they can do the media. Ultimately, they can sit on their ass. Once it's said, that's the fight. That's the fight, right? We got a rankings room. We got a way we do this. We got matchmakers. We have a process. When the process is done and the names get spat out, this is what we're going to do. You could tell me plenty of times historically you've done that. However, 100% of those times you could name for me are title fights. You do not have a time, and you can go back to the SEG days of 1993 through 2001. You do not have a single time when a fight was announced and that was it, and we're going to hang on it, that was a non-title fight. And you could easily say, but this was promised. Yeah, sure it was. But guess what else was promised? It was Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. And it was meant. And then Nate ran his contract down. He went over here, and it was one of those things. Nobody lied. This is what everybody meant at the time it was said, and then some of the other pieces that weren't controllable changed. I think it's going to be Chandler, but I can't guarantee it's going to be Chandler. And the more time goes on, what difference does it make? Right? I mean, it made a big difference 3 months ago. It made a big difference. We're coming off the Ultimate Fighter. This is what was advertised. This is what was marketed. This is what's red hot. This isn't even going to come in 2023. And if this battle with USADA is a real thing, you got to wait 180 days. Now you're talking about it coming halfway, in a best case scenario, halfway through 2024. What do you do then? You tell people that these guys once upon a time did the Ultimate Fighter? Is that what you do? Do we get Forrest and God rest his soul? Stephen Bunn, did we get Chuck and Randy to come back because they did the Ultimate Fighter? Is that what we tell people? We don't tell people that in 2024. Hey, these guys did the Ultimate Fighter, and I know we've done 3 seasons since then, but, you know, we've said it just doesn't work that way. So then the question comes, why are they fighting? Are they fighting because it's a really big fight that we all want to see? Great, that's a really good reason. I'll take that. But is that the case? That fight, and I love it. Again, I'm on Chandler's side. I'm saying this trying to help Chandler. I'm trying to. I know my words come out a little bit. But that fight, to this day, and this has been booked for what, 7 months? I found out about this fight driving to Fedor's retirement fight. I remember where I was. So how long ago was that? 6 months, 5 months? From the day that was announced to right now, this fight not only doesn't have a date, it not only doesn't have a bout agreement, it doesn't have an agreed upon weight class. So before you tell me we got to fight and we've got to get to it, I'm going to stop you right there. And I'm going to tell you, nowhere in the history of this sport, when you don't have a bout agreement, you don't have a date, and you haven't even agreed on the weight class, nowhere in the history of this sport have you agreed to do a fight.